Hello again everyone and welcome back to another installment of Poke Fodder. Today I want to go over something that was mixed into the partial figure stat balance adjustment that was released a couple of days ago. Just as a refresher, the stat balance is where we found out that Empoleon was going to get a little bit of a buff, Dialga and Palkia was going to get a buff, the Deoxys was going from 2 stars to 3 stars, yada yada yada, you get the point with all that. But something that was also mentioned that I think got overlooked by a lot of people, but it did not get overlooked by Poke Fodder. I actually feel like this is going to be maybe the biggest change that comes out of the adjustment, with the caveat of it only makes sense if Kyogre is going to be the reward, the trophy reward for the new upcoming grass water gym. And the reason why I think Kyogre is going to be the figure reward is because when they did this adjustment a few cycles ago where Groudon got the adjustment, Groudon was actually the Pokemon who was added into the rewards. They did the same thing for Kyogre, which was only available to the early adopters, the Japanese players, and it's not widely released yet, but they made an adjustment to this figure, and that alone is what makes me think Kyogre is going to be the next prize. What I'm talking about, and as you can see on the screen, what I'm talking about is this Primal Rage ability. Most people, Groudon is just a trophy on their shelf. Nobody even looks at it or thinks twice about it because it's 1 MP, and for the longest time you couldn't run a 1 MP successfully due to the speed of the Deoxys, with rushing the Deoxys speed figure down both your lanes. 2 or 3 of them put immense pressure on your defense. You could not afford to have a 1 MP Pokemon. When Rayquaza got the Break Energy added to his wheel in a stat balance a while back, some people were throwing that in there and just saying, you know what, it doesn't work. It's such a small slice. He doesn't land it very often, and it's 1 MP. I can't run a Deoxys defense and a Rayquaza, 2 1 MP figures. So there was no room for 1 MP figures. Now that people have backed off of the Deoxys for now, people are starting to run 1 MP Pokemon. You've got the water decks, which run at least 1 Manaphy, and some people run the tropical or forest decks where they have Trevenant in their deck, and he's a 1 MP. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Rayquaza, Groudon, and Kyogre's Primal Rage ability. What it says, now this is a new ability. So if the opponent has Groudon, Kyogre, or Rayquaza on the field, this Pokemon gets a MP +1 and does +20 damage. While these 3 figures are each highly capable, they have the capability to overwhelm other figures with when their ability is active. When either player's Pokemon with Primal Rage ability has left the field, then the capabilities of the remaining figures with Primal Rage return to normal. With this change, whether to defeat the opponent's Pokemon and have one's figures with Primal Rage return to normal, or whether to utilize the active ability to favorably progress in the duel, depends on the strategy of the player in question. That's very important. What I've done is I've set up a couple of games in a room match where my opponent is running, I think, Rayquaza in both the games. And in the first game, I'm going to run a water deck that would have, it has Groudon in it, but it would be replaced, and I go into this during the video, it would be replaced with Kyogre. And then the second one, I'm running a tropical deck, a grass deck, however you want to name it, more tropical, with Rayquaza, to show off exactly how this ability works. But here's why I think this is going to be a game changer. If you look at Kyogre's wheel, he is a water type. And I'm sorry for the extreme pixelation of this. It was screenshot from a match that somebody else played, so I didn't have, this isn't my Kyogre. I wish I had one. If you look at it, the break energy does a base damage of 50. The Hydro Pump does a base damage of 130. He's got 2 dodge segments, and at level 5, he's going to have 4 miss. Now let's look at Tidal Wave, his purple move. All neighboring Pokemon are knocked 3 steps back and gain weight. That is huge. Now, add a Manaphy on the field. You're going to be running 2 1-input Pokemon, but put a Manaphy on the field. Put a Golblock on the field. Look what you've got. You've got a break energy that's doing 70 with a 20 segment of the wheel. A 23 segment of the wheel that's doing 150 damage. Who's competing with that? Metagross? You know, like, that is huge. And then we're going to take into account people are going to run Kyogre in their water deck. It's gonna happen. Well, if you're going up against a water deck and you know that if there's a good chance, because people are loving their water decks, this is going to be a great addition to water deck. If you can imagine Manaphy, Greninja, Gyarados, Empoleon, and Kyogre, that is a very solid team right there. If you know there's a good chance of you running into this team and you want to counter it, so you put together your tropical deck, it's going to be in your best interest to have a Rayquaza in there, because he's going to do an additional, your Rayquaza is going to get 2 MP, his 120 is going to become a 140, and a 140 gold, that is unheard of. That is why I think this Primal Rage has been overlooked. Yes, you're going to help your opponent, but look at the benefit to you. If and when I have Kyogre, I'm putting him in my water deck. So if you go up against Fodder, there's a really good chance that you're going to come up against Kyogre. You can put your Groudon. And as you can see in the games that I'm going to show here in a moment, when Groudon becomes a 2 MP Pokemon, he feels smooth. Like, he should be a 2 MP Pokemon to begin with. I don't know why he's not. The 110 base damage and the 70 base damage, those to me, because of power creep, are 1 MP or 2 MP Pokemon stats. So as is, if I'm running Kyogre, all of a sudden you're running, if you're running Kyogre, because I'm afraid I'm going to come across a water deck. I want to have the best water deck possible. Kyogre makes the best water deck possible, in my opinion. All of a sudden I don't have 2 1 MP Pokemon on the field. I have 1 1 MP Pokemon on the field and an absolute monster of Kyogre doing 150 base damage, 2 MPs. There's a lot to like here. And for that reason, I think Primal Rage could be a thing in our very, very near future. So with all that being said, I'm going to jump into, I'm gonna roll into the video that I shot earlier this week to kind of show off how this Primal Rage works. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think Primal Rage is going to become a thing? Are you on my team? Do you agree with where my head is on this? Or do you guys think I'm just absolutely wackadoo crazy, never going to happen? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. And I've set this up. This is actually a room match that JSoul was kind enough to run with me. But it's hard to find somebody who is running either Groudon or Rayquaza in a deck currently. But I think that might change. So in the deck, like I've already talked about, pretend that Groudon is actually Kyogre. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I want to show how incredibly powerful these Pokemon get when they become 2 MP. Now, I didn't tell J Soul to play any specific way. I told him just to play normal. And you might be thinking, you can't run 2. No. Oh my gosh. Greninja. I hope he respins. You can't run 2 1 MP Pokemon. I'm actually gonna have to think here for a second. Okay. The hurdle jumps, I still have a backup plan. But I think you can. And the reason why is when his Rayquaza or Groudon, or we'll say his Kyogre, are on the field, my Kyogre, which Groudon is playing the role of, is going to become 2 MP. And so it's not a liability at that point. We will bring Magikarp out. And I feel like the potential for that was bad news. I feel like the potential for goodness gracious, what do I do here? I think I slide over here. The potential is there for people to run Kyogre because water decks are going to become so popular. I just feel like the opportunity is there for them to become run fairly often because of Kyogre's strong ability, even without the other Pokemon on the field. I think he's just a really solid Pokemon. I actually think I'm not going to attack. We'll slide over here. So here it is. It's that the Primal Rage just triggered in. So I have a plus 20 damage like I talked about, the plus 1 MP, which I talked about. And that makes Groudon an evil, evil Pokemon. He can legit do a ton of damage now. I have mine chain leveled up 1, so 131 is going to be able to do a ton of damage. I'm actually going to double chance here. And just hope he doesn't go 140 on me. Neither. There we go. I really do feel like because of this, the opportunity should be there for people to start running. Oh man, he's just gonna get my goal right back. Anyway, I feel like it can be a viable Pokemon, and I feel like it can be a viable strategy. If you know that there's a good chance of Kyogre being on the field, because you could face a water deck, and I do feel like water decks are going to become a lot more prominent, that if you're not running a water deck, it could be in your best interest to have a Rayquaza if you're running a tropical deck, because he is a flying type. He's going to be covered by the tropical energy plate. You can run a Groudon. You know, just so many opportunities. And I knew when this came out that there was a reason, because nobody uses Rayquaza, nobody uses... Oh man, he had to get his best roll there, didn't he? Nobody uses Rayquaza. Nobody uses Groudon. And it got me to thinking, like, well, what are they coming up with that's going to incentivize people to use these Pokemon, that they would even think to bring out this added ability of Primal Rage? Let's see if we can not get frozen here, because if we get frozen, we're in trouble. We don't have our double chance, so... And that was beautiful. Oh, and if you're watching yesterday's video, he actually, wow, he's got 3 chain levels on his Empoleon. He did them all. I probably would have skipped the 70 and put 2 on the 30. And he's going to come out with Zapdos. And that is going to be the victory for the good guys. I'm going to set up one more. I'm going to set up one more game, and I'm going to use Rayquaza in a tropical deck. So give me just a moment. Running this again, I've now put together what I think, just off the top of my head, is a really nice tropical energy deck that would be viable in any meta, really. So I've got the Rayquaza, who will get the buff if you're going up against the water deck who has the Kyogre, or if you're running up against another deck of some kind that has Groudon or Kyogre or another Rayquaza in it. And he wants to open up like that. Basically, I've got a strong runner in Leafeon, Phantump in case you come across a Deoxys deck. In my other deck, I had the Dark Energy in case I came across the Deoxys deck. Phantump is going to be able to that's a mirror. Phantump with his Forest Mischief puts a marker on them so they can't switch that Pokemon if they attack him. Basically, so I can dive bomb him into other Pokemon if I come across a Deoxys deck. I'm sure his Sceptile is buffed up, and it is, so we're going to go with the mirror matchup there. This deck has a little bit of everything, and it's all covered by the Tropical Energy Plate. It's either the heal, or, you know, if you happen to go against the Deoxys deck, then it has the we actually want to do this. It'll keep him from respinning, and if you happen to see a Reuniclus deck, and I do think Reuniclus decks are basically done for at this point. Now, if you'll notice, there's some strategy involved here. I can bring out my Rayquaza whenever, and he's a 2 MP Pokemon, but his is just a 1 MP Pokemon until I decide to move forward. That being the case, it would behoove me to not put him out right away. A little bit of strategy. It's bringing the chess element back into the game that was gone for the better part of a month, really. And now we will... And now Rayquaza can be the attacker that he was supposed to be, I think. We will just bring out my Rayquaza. And as I say that, I move him to play defensively, but it adds that element of the chess as far as when to bring them out. It also adds in the chess element of do you surround kill? If given the opportunity, do you take the surround kill and knock out their Kyogre, Rayquaza, Groudon? Or do you bypass it because you want to keep the added benefit of the additional power, the additional 20 damage, and the additional 1 MP. A lot of strategy now goes into effect here. And I really couldn't figure out why you'd want to run a Pokemon who helps the opponent, but because it helps you out so much, I don't know. I can see it becoming viable. I can see where people start running it in their deck and seeing it more often. I don't think it's going to become everybody running these Pokemon in their decks. If I'm running my water deck, I'm for sure running Kyogre. His wheel is amazing. I like so much about him that I'm definitely going to keep him top of mind. He'll be on my water deck. I think you can run the 2 1 MP Pokemon. And I really like Rayquaza in this situation on a tropical deck. Especially knowing the possibility that he can be 3 MP or 2 MP if my opponent is working in such a way. Now he's trying to set up the surround kill, and that did not really work out well for him. And this, honestly, I just made this deck up right here. I really like it. I like it's got a super strong attacker. It's got a potentially super strong attacker. It's got gold. And I have max revive, so we will go ahead and utilize that. Kind of a misplay. I should have taken Rayquaza and moved him up first, but nonetheless, I'm liking this deck. But it's a different play style, and that's the one thing that most people wanted and were clamoring for for the last couple weeks, last month or so. Oh look, see, his Rayquaza's knocked out, so I can't press forward. It's just bring creativity back into the game. I don't think it's good for the game to have one specific deck that outclasses anything else you can put together. And I know there are exceptions. I know Listener has a deck that isn't Deoxys and he's super successful with it. But let's be honest, he is one of, if not the best, he's one of the best players of the game in the world. I feel like he could put together almost any deck and be successful with it. For the casual player, that's not the case. And this helps the casual player become a better player. And that's good for the overall health of the game. I have no complaints with that. We are going to double chance this. Try not to get frozen. He was his dodge. He's got a really nice team right here. His Mew is level 5. His Sceptile's level 5. I don't know if he's done his damage reallocation on his Rayquaza just yet. Might take Zapdos and drop him back here and then start pressing forward with Rayquaza because I do still have the Gold Block. I haven't used my Tropical Energy Plate, and I'm glad I saved it because his Rayquaza actually landed the Break Energy, which would have ended. Not that it does anything against this particular deck, but I'm actually going to drop back here. Possibly set up Acer. No, we can't get to Mew. I don't even know what Apollion's wheel looks like when he's confused. What's he going to spin now? Either miss or dodge, most likely. So it's a lot like the Deoxys wheel now. But that pretty much negates him rolling the Ice Beam. I can confidently attack into him if need be. I don't necessarily know that the need is there. And I'm not worried about Empoleon at the moment. I can just hop over there. And I still have a gold block plate. So I'm good there. I'm really good on time. Oh, I should have capped his entry point. Dang it. And if you remember, Phantom from the gym is just a beast to try to knock out. Guess we can go. We're actually going to try to. Yep, see, there he goes. He's dodging. But I've got it set up where I can surround him with Leafeon comfortably at this point if he doesn't move him. He did, and that's okay. Don't really want to get into a mirror match there. I've got tempo, I've got pressure on him. Oh, and then I go and do something dumb like that. That was so dumb. I didn't even notice. And there goes that. So what do? You naturally attack and then lose, right? That was dumb. I wasn't paying any attention. Thought he was going to camp my entry point. Which, now I'm going to camp on his entry points. And let's work our way over. I really like this deck that I've put together. I'm sure there's weaknesses to it, but the deck that he's running is not a deck, really, is not a deck that you would not expect to see in a normal league match. Can't get rid of this guy. There we go. So now that he has to decide, am I going to bring my Rayquaza back onto the field, which is going to buff up my Rayquaza, or do I leave him on the bench? Because right now my mobility is limited. I think he needs to bring him out because he has two attackers who can't do a whole lot of damage. Very interesting. If I hadn't wasted my double chance on my next move, I could have, and I still will, attack and go for fly. Possibly. We survive that. We're actually going to... We're going to try to do it. We're going to try to go for fly onto the goal. No, and... Ooh. And a push. Rayquaza's pretty... Oh, wow. I don't use Rayquaza. But now I'm... See, he knew what I was doing. But now I think I like this deck. I like it. Sleep him. I'm glad you didn't roll sleep. I don't really see. I mean, what would it take for Greninja to knock out? I guess it's not that far-fetched. We'll slide over here. Very unorthodox play there. I'm going to slide over here because if he wants to take his Greninja and attack Zapdos, which I did not think he wanted to do. That protects. This is interesting. I guess he's trying to get me to fly. Okay. See what you're doing. I feel you. We'll give him one more opportunity. If he has hurdle jump, I still have my cold block though, right? Okay. Woo. Give him one more opportunity. And just go cold block. He's down to 13 seconds now. I'm afraid that it's probably too late for him at this point, though. He had to spend 15 seconds or something trying to free up his entry point again. And so it looks like we're just going to go with the timeout victory. There's no reason for me to attack at this point. I've got a great wall set up here. He's going to have to win several battles consecutively. And I'm bringing reinforcements back. This would be really unfortunate luck for him to be able to work his way out of this one. Couldn't sleep him. 6 seconds. I'm actually going to try to get my blue. It's actually what I'm going for. That's not at all what I was going for there. I wanted my blue so I could hop over him. Definitely didn't want to land on the weakest attack I had. This could be bad news. Here, we'll back up. And we're going to hop over him. Really don't know how we're going to survive this, quite honestly. I think I'm going to plate on my next one. If he gets knocked out here, this is really bad news. But as you remember, Phantom is really difficult to knock out. And then for a potential grass gym coming up where he's going to be a 60 instead of a 40, is going to be even more difficult to knock out. That'll be interesting. Okay. We'll go in here, get this around, and that should cap off a hard-fought victory. Maybe a misplay or two in there. I'll have to go back and watch it. I'll probably just trust you guys to tell me where I missed out on something that I could have gotten us around somewhere or whatever, but let me know in the comments below. Do you feel like maybe Groudon or Rayquaza Kyogre, and Groudon may be the missing piece. He may be the one left out in this trio, but definitely Rayquaza and Kyogre. Do you see yourself running them in decks? I can see them being viable Pokemon, and not just in lower ranks. I can see these working in higher ranks and all the way up 3,000 and above, because they're good Pokemon without the buff, and they're really good with the buff, and maybe the best Pokemon available. Let me know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you like what you're seeing here. I appreciate everybody who is already subscribed. You guys drive me to do more content and keep improving my content and production value. So I appreciate all of you, and until next time.